You love her, don't you? You love that rich woman and her big house and her fancy cars. You've forgotten the woman who helped you become who you are today. You know me, Emeka. You know me. If I can't have you, nobody will. And I don't care what I have to do, but I swear, that woman and that thing growing inside her will regret ever crossing my path. You hear me? The game is over. Emeka and Bisola were the real definition of the couple everyone in school knew and talked about. They met during their first year at the university. Two young dreamers with big plans and small pockets. Before long, they were inseparable, and by their third year, it was no longer just campus love. It was not just ordinary boyfriend and girlfriend. They had become each other's person. Everyone in school believed they would end up together as husband and wife. That was actually their goal. Emeka was not born into wealth. His father was a retired civil servant, and his mother sold cheap fabrics in the local market. Life wasn't easy, but Emeka had learned early how to make something out of nothing. He designed flyers, wrote articles for student magazines, and even fixed phones for a little extra cash. Bisola adored him for his drive. To her, he was a man with a future. Bisola, on the other hand, came from an equally humble background. Her parents lived in a small compound in Ibadan, where her mother sold akara by the roadside. Her father was a commercial Okada man, but she was determined to rise above poverty, to live a life where she would never have to worry about transport fare or share even a single bar of soap with her siblings. That fire inside her was what Emeka loved the most. When graduation finally came, they both felt like they had conquered the world together. They had made promises, sweet youthful promises to each other. They were going to build a life side by side, no matter how long it took. After school really hit hard, Emeka got a modest job at a media startup. The pay wasn't so much, but it was something. Bisola was lucky too. She got a teaching position at a well-known primary school. Their combined salaries could barely cover rent, transport, food, and all of their basic necessities. Still, they tried to make it work. But deep inside, Bisola wanted more. She loved Emeka, yes, but she also wanted the kind of life she saw on Instagram. Vacations, fine dining, designer handbags, fine classic clothes. She wanted to live comfortably, not just survive. Emeka understood. He wanted to give her the world. He worked longer hours, took side jobs, and saved every naira he could. But success was slow, and Bisola's patience was thinner than she realized. The life she dreamed of still felt so far away. They say opportunity comes but once, and when it came for Emeka, Bisola made sure he grabbed it with both hands. Remember, Emeka had been working in a small startup media company. It was barely 6 months when his boss, Moyo Adewale, began to notice him. Moyo was a beautiful, successful woman in her prime. She was the kind of woman that turned heads when she walked into a room. Tall, elegant, with skin like melted caramel, and a voice that could command attention without being loud. She had built her company from scratch, and by all standards, she was a success story. But Moyo had one problem. She had everything except love. Men were either intimidated by her success or only wanted her money. She was beautiful, rich, and lonely, a dangerous combination. Then came Emeka. He was young, charming, respectful, and naturally funny. He had this easy confidence that made people like him instantly. Moyo noticed how he worked late, how he smiled even when he was tired, and how he always treated everyone, from the cleaner to the clients, with genuine kindness. Something about him stirred emotions she hadn't felt in a long time. At first, she brushed it off as admiration for a hard-working employee, but soon she found herself thinking about him even after office hours. She began to drop subtle hints, inviting him to lunch under the pretense of discussing ideas, complimenting his shirt, laughing a little too loudly at his jokes. She even started giving him small gifts, a wristwatch here, a box of pastries there, a ride home when it rained. She bought him things randomly. Emeka noticed. Oh, he noticed. He wasn't blind to the way Moyo's eyes lingered on him, or how her tone softened whenever she spoke his name. It made him uncomfortable. He respected her and did not want to mislead her, but at the same time, he couldn't afford to offend his boss. One evening, he went home deep in thought. Bisola noticed his silence. Amy, what is it? You've been frowning since you came in, she asked. He sighed and sat beside her. It's my boss, Bisola. She's acting somehow. I think she likes me. Bisola's eyes widened. Likes you? As how? As in likes me, Emeka said carefully. And honestly, I don't know how to feel about it. She's been nice to me. Too nice. And I can't lie, it's confusing because she's powerful, beautiful, and successful. I don't want to lose my job, but I also don't want her to think I'm available. Bisola sprang up from her chair. Eh? She wants to snatch my man. I will go to that office and tear her wig off her head. Emeka burst into laughter despite his worry. Look at you forming anger. When you were eating all the shawarma and meat pie and suya I've been bringing home, you did not shout though. Now that you know who it's from, you suddenly have morale. Bisola folded her arms and frowned deeply. If I had known it was from her, I wouldn't have eaten it. She thinks she can buy everyone with her money. If that woman doesn't remove her eyes from my man, I will show her that I am from Ijebu. Emeka laughed again, pulling her closer. My Ijebu warrior, calm down. There's nothing to fight about. I only have eyes for you. Bisola gave him a long, suspicious look. You better mean it, oh Emeka. You better mean it. I don't trust rich women. They like to take what's not theirs. Emeka reassured her once more that he was all hers, and the matter died down, at least for that moment. Later that night, after all the drama and laughter, Bisola could not sleep. Emeka had long drifted into a deep slumber, his arm lazily draped around her waist. The gentle rhythm of his breathing filled the room, but Bisola's mind was racing like a car with no brakes. She turned from side to side, thinking of everything, her life, their struggles, and that beautiful, wealthy woman who had eyes for her man. She remembered Moyo's shiny car, her expensive wigs, her designer bags, and the soft life that came with wealth. Slowly, a thought began to form in her mind, a very wicked thought. She sat up suddenly, her eyes wide. Hey, Bisola, she whispered to herself, clutching her chest. This is your cash out season. A grin spread across her face as excitement bubbled inside her. She tapped Emeka's shoulder impatiently. Amy, wake up. Emeka groaned, half asleep. What is it? Did you hear something? Yes, I heard something. She smiled brightly. I heard the sound of our breakthrough. Emeka blinked at her in confusion. What are you talking about? It's past midnight, Bisola. I want to sleep. Bisola's eyes sparkled. I have a plan. A brilliant plan that will set us free from this life of suffering. Emeka, by the time I'm done explaining to you, you will thank me. Emeka sat up slowly, rubbing his eyes. Okay, what is this idea that cannot wait till morning? She leaned in, lowering her voice, like she was about to share a government secret. You will return Moyo's affection, she began. Emeka frowned. What? Wait now, let me finish. Bisola continued eagerly. You will act like you love her. Make her believe you are serious. Propose to her. Marry her. And once you are married, gather every information you can about her assets, her money, her property, cards, everything. Then once she sets you up nicely, we will disappear. 3 months maximum, Emeka, or 4. But after that, we will vanish to somewhere far away and start a new life, rich, free, and happy forever. She clapped her hands and laughed. Tell me that's not genius. Emeka stared at her like she had just grown horns. Bisola, are you okay? What kind of thinking is this? I will not be a part of such madness. Haba, Bisola, where did that thought even come from? Bisola rolled her eyes dramatically. It came from using my brain. Emeka, use your head, please. Is this how we want to keep living, counting coins and complaining? Sometimes I wonder if you're a real Igbo man, because the Igbo men I know don't sleep on opportunities like this. Emeka shook his head, clearly torn between amusement and disbelief. So, your big idea for a better life is for me to become a thief in love? Thief? Bisola scoffed. Who said anything about stealing? No, my dear. This is not stealing. It is called strategic survival. Think about it, Amy. This woman is rich, lonely, and desperate for affection. All you have to do is pretend for a few months. Think of it as an investment in our dream future. She moved closer, holding his hands with both of hers. This is not as bad as you think, my love. Once we gather enough money, we'll disappear, start afresh, and finally live the soft life we've always wanted. It's that simple. Emeka sighed heavily and leaned back against the walls. Her words made no sense, and yet, the idea didn't sound completely terrible. Poverty has a way of twisting logic until even the ridiculous started to seem reasonable. Emeka rubbed his chin thoughtfully. But Bisola, I know how women can be. Won't you get jealous if I'm, pretending to love her? Bisola burst out laughing. Jealous, ke? For what? This is business, not romance. I understand what I'm signing up for. In fact, you introduce me to her as your cousin sister, so that when both of you get married, I can visit freely. She winked playfully. And who knows, we might even sneak in a little quick one once in a while. Emeka couldn't help but chuckle. So you're saying I will get to marry a rich woman, live in luxury, and still have you by my side? Exactly, Bisola said proudly. You'll eat your cake and have it too. Emeka smiled to himself, shaking his head slowly. Looks like I'm really going to eat that cake and have it. And just like that, their plans were sealed. The next day, Emeka began his mission. At first, it felt awkward, pretending to love a woman who genuinely adored you. But as days turned into weeks, he started to get very comfortable with the act. He began to return Moyo's affection. Their first real lunch date was at a fancy restaurant on Victoria Island. Moyo had offered to pay, but Emeka smiled gently and pushed her hand away. "Don't worry, I got this," he said playfully. "Let me be a gentleman for once. You can pay next time." Moyo laughed, pleasantly surprised. Most men she dated never hesitated to let her foot the bill. This one was different. There was something in his eyes, confidence without arrogance, humility without weakness. Each time they went out after that, Emeka insisted on paying, even if it meant spending half of his salary. After all, this was an investment. That gesture alone melted Moyo's heart. It made her feel seen and cherished. She told herself she had finally found her man. Within a few weeks, she was falling deeper, helplessly, foolishly, beautifully. Emeka played his role perfectly. He texted her first thing in the morning, sent her love notes during work hours, and called her every night to tell her how lucky he was to have her. He listened to her stories, laughed at her jokes, and pretended to be amazed by her success. Then, one evening after dinner, he took her hand, looked into her eyes, and said softly, "Moyo, my life has had more meaning since you came along. You've made me believe in love again." Her heart melted instantly. It was everything she wanted to hear, and she believed every single word of it. But love stories, no matter how sweet, always have spectators. Moyo's friends began to notice the change in her. She was glowing, smiling more than usual, always talking about this new man called Emeka. "Babe, are you sure about this guy?" her friend Nene asked one afternoon during brunch. "He's younger than you, and from what you've told us, he's not even on your level. Think well, oh. You're 31 and he's 27. You are 4 years older than this guy." Another friend, Bimpe, shook her head. I don't like this at all, Moyo. This guy will just use you and disappear once he gets what he wants. Please, Moyo, don't let desperation blind you." But Moyo wasn't listening. She was a woman who knew what she wanted. For the first time in a long while, she felt loved, not for her money or her fame or her success, but for who she was. She smiled at her friends and said, "You people don't understand. You don't know Emeka the way I do. Emeka is different. He's not that kind of guy." And so her friends kept quiet, and their relationship grew stronger. Moyo started making plans of her own. She wanted to make sure she never lost him, and so she quietly stopped taking her birth control pills. She prayed every night for a baby, his baby, something to bind them together forever. At least, if a baby came along, Emeka would be bound to marry her, and they would live together happily ever after. But month after month, no pregnancy came. But her disappointment did not last long, because 3 months after they began dating, Emeka got down on one knee and proposed. It happened in the most romantic way. He took her to the same restaurant where they had their first lunch, knelt before her with a small velvet box and said, "Moyo Adewale, the woman who made my heart believe again. Will you marry me?" Tears rolled down her cheeks as she nodded. Her joy knew no bounds. At 31, she was finally getting married, and to a younger man who adored her and made her feel alive again. Shame. Shame on all of them, she whispered. Shame on those who said she would never find love. Shame on her so-called friend who doubted that Emeka was going to marry her. Shame on them for thinking that he was just going to use her and dump her. As for Bisola, she was still very much in the picture. Emeka introduced her to Moyo as his favorite cousin, the only family member who understood him. From the very first day, Moyo liked her. Bisola had a way of blending in. She was cheerful, respectful, and fun to be around. She helped Moyo with errands, joined her on girls' hangouts, and even helped with the early wedding plans. Soon, Moyo began to treat her like a younger sister. The three of them, Moyo, Emeka, and Bisola, became very close, very tight-knit, and not for once did Moyo suspect a single thing. Wedding preparations began in full swing, and Bisola was at the very heart of it all. She was at the forefront. If Moyo sneezed, Bisola was there with a handkerchief. She helped pick out the wedding gown, the shoes, makeup artist, even the decorator. From the color of the bridesmaid dresses to the design of the cake, Bisola's opinion was gospel. Everyone could see how close Moyo and her soon-to-be cousin-in-law had become. In fact, Moyo often told her friends, "I don't know what I'll do without Bisola. She's the sister I never had." That was exactly the plan. They had her exactly where they wanted her to be. The fact that Emeka did not have any sisters made the camouflage perfect. Nobody suspected that Bisola was not only his supposed cousin, but the real woman behind the man. The wedding was a grand affair. It took place in one of Lagos's most luxurious event centers. Guests arrived in glittering outfits, photographers clicked away endlessly, and Moyo in her shimmering white gown looked like the happiest bride alive. Emeka played his parts perfectly. He smiled, danced, whispered sweet nothings in her ear, and looked every bit like the loving husband every woman dreamed of. Bisola dressed elegantly as the proud cousin, danced like someone who truly shared in their joy. And just like that, Moyo and Emeka had become husband and wife. After the honeymoon, real life began. Since Emeka worked at her media company, Moyo suggested something that seemed natural enough. "Amy," she said one morning over breakfast, "you're my husband now, and I think it's time you take my place at the office. You will run things while I focus on other investments." Emeka blinked, pretending to be surprised. "Ah, sweetheart, that's too much. I can't take your position. You worked hard to build that company. I can't." Moyo smiled, touching his hands. "You are my husband. What's mine is yours. You need to step up as the head of this family. People must see that you are in charge." He smiled shyly, still pretending to resist. "If you insist." And of course, she insisted. From that day, Emeka became the new managing director of the company. The changes did not stop there. One evening, as they were watching a movie, Emeka casually said, "Babe, have you thought about us opening a joint account, for transparency and to build together?" Moyo smiled. "That's a lovely idea, darling." By the next week, both their names were on the account. Then came the biggest step. She added his name to her company documents, her landed properties, and some of her other personal investments. She started buying new assets under both their names. In her mind, that's what love was about: trust, partnership, and unity. But in Emeka's mind, it was a jackpot, slowly maturing. Moyo's father, Chief Adewale, soon caught wind of what was happening, and he wasn't amused. The man had seen enough in his lifetime to recognize danger, wearing a charming smile. One morning, he called his daughter to his house in Ikeja. "Moyo," he began, "the lawyer tells me you're adding this young man's name to all your properties. Why?" Moyo nodded proudly. "Yes, Daddy. We are married now and I trust him completely." Chief shook his head. "My dear, love is good, but be wise. You worked too hard to build what you have. You could lose everything if things go wrong. Don't rush to tie everything to this man. He's still new in your life." Moyo smiled and touched his hand gently. "Daddy, nothing can go wrong. You don't understand Emeka. He's not like other men. He's genuine and he's really kind." Chief sighed. That's what they all say before reality sets in. "Look, I'm not trying to control you, but as your father, I can tell this boy is not what he seems. He's just a gold digger." "Daddy, you never liked him," she said politely. "You're just being unfair." "Moyo," Chief said, lowering his voice. "You see these two kinds of people in this world. Those you can never advise. The first is a person who has money. The second is a person who is in love. You, my daughter, are both." But Moyo did not listen. She left his house smiling and shaking her head, telling herself that her father was simply old-fashioned. To her, Emeka was her blessing in human form. To Emeka, she was the golden goose finally laying its eggs. And to Bisola, oh Bisola, it was only the beginning of their grand harvest. Life went on, and at first everything looked the same on the surface. The house was tidy, the company ran well, and the couple was living their best lives. But time has a way of showing truths no one wants to see. 1 month passed, then 2, then 3. Bisola's patience thinned into something sharp. The plan was supposed to be quick. 4 months, collect money and run. But the months kept rolling. Bisola started visiting Moyo's house more often, always the same role, his cheerful cousin, the helpful friend. But with every visit, she noticed a small troubling change. Emeka, who used to greet her like the sun rose when she came, no longer looked pleased to see her. The warm jokes, the late night whispers, the secret touching body they once shared was gone. He was distant, careful, almost polite in a way that made her feel like a stranger. They became awkward around each other. He avoided the familiar closeness. He seemed uncomfortable, like a man caught doing what he was not supposed to do. Bisola knew something was wrong. She felt it. She could smell it in the way Emeka looked at Moyo. He wasn't just playing a part anymore. He was now listening to Moyo when she spoke, his eyes softening. He laughed at her jokes in a way he never had with her. The act had become too real. Emeka was falling in love. She shrugged the feeling aside. Maybe Emeka was becoming a very good actor, she thought to herself. Meanwhile, Moyo, on her own part, was still trying hard to get pregnant. A pregnancy would make their marriage more solid. She was desperate, but no pregnancy seemed to be coming. Then finally, 6 months later, the decisive proof came. She was pregnant. She was over the moon with joy. Emeka too was excited. He started to imagine what it would feel like to be a father. Then he remembered Bisola. He began to panic inside. How would Bisola take this news? He found out soon enough. Moyo, excited to share the news with someone, called Bisola, breathless with happiness. Bisola, she sang into the phone. I'm pregnant. The news hit Bisola like a physical blow. For a second, she couldn't breathe. Her limbs turned heavy and cold. Are you okay? Muyo asked, unaware. Bisola forced a laugh into the receiver. Oh, Muyo, that's wonderful. I'm so happy for you. I can't wait to spoil that baby. Auntie will spoil him silly. She kept her voice bright. She said all the things a good friend says. When she hung up, everything inside her snapped. She threw herself against the living room wall and began to haul anything within reach. Slippers flew. Cushions hit the floor. A glass slid off the table and shattered with a sound that matched the way her heart felt, broken into pieces. Emeka is playing with fire. Emeka is playing with fire, she screamed at the empty room. The words came out hot. She stomped around, hands clenching and unclenching. How dare he do this to me? I risked everything for him. I planned, I waited, I sacrificed. Her voice broke into a laugh that was no longer funny. Ha! Ha, God. I will show him. I will show him that I am from Ijebu. Anger salted her grief. Pride hardened her heart. In that moment, Bisola was no longer the cheerful cousin. She was a woman burned by betrayal and dangerous when betrayed. The next morning was a quiet Sunday. The air was cool and the atmosphere was serene. Emeka was in the kitchen, humming softly as he stirred a pot of stew he was preparing specially for his beautiful pregnant wife. Muyo was still upstairs, resting after her morning devotion. She had been glowing lately. Pregnancy suited her. Her laughter had become softer and fuller, and Emeka could not deny the fact that he was falling in love with this woman every day. He couldn't deny how much he enjoyed watching her belly grow with his child inside. But peace has a way of vanishing when old ghosts walk in. Bisola arrived that morning earlier than usual. This time she did not even bother to call or knock politely as she used to. Her heart was pounding with anger and betrayal. Their plan, was crumbling before her eyes, and she was not about to sit quietly and let it happen. She marched into the house like a storm, her eyes blazing. Emeka, she barked, her voice echoing through the living room. Emeka turned quietly. He was startled. Bisola, what are you doing here this early? She ignored his question, slamming her handbag on the counter. Don't Bisola me, Emeka. What is going on? What is going on between you and that woman upstairs, eh? Have you forgotten why we are here? Have you forgotten the plan? Emeka froze, his wooden spoon still in his hand. Keep your voice down. Muyo could hear you. I don't care, Bisola snapped, cutting him off. You think I came here to whisper? You think I'm a fool? She took a step closer. We had a plan. You were supposed to marry her, take control of everything, and then we would have our life back. That was the deal. But what did you do instead? You went and fell in love and got her pregnant. Pregnant, Emeka. Emeka's shoulders sagged. His lips trembled as he spoke. Bisola, I did not have any plan for this to happen. I did not plan for it to happen. I swear, I tried to stick to the plan, but things changed. Moyo she's kind. She trusts me. She makes me feel like I can be more. I can't leave her. For a moment, Bisola just stared at him, blinking in disbelief. Then her lips curled into a bitter laugh. You can't leave her, she repeated. Okay, what about me, Emeka? What about me? Her voice cracked as tears welled up in her eyes. I've been with you for years. I stood by you when you had nothing. I believed in you when everyone else laughed. This plan, this whole thing was my idea. And you, she pressed a shaking hand against her chest. You have the audacity to betray me. You are in love with her. So what happens to me? Emeka's face burned with guilt. He stepped closer, reaching out to hold her hand, but she pushed his hands away. Bisola, please, he begged. Moyo will be awake any moment from now. Let's not do this here. Let's talk outside. Please, I'm begging you. She let out a sharp, humorless laugh that filled the kitchen. Ha! Talk outside. Emeka, do I look like I care about that woman? Her voice rose louder. No wonder you stopped touching me. No wonder you keep your distance like I'm some stranger. You love her. You love the rich woman and her big house and her fancy cars. You've forgotten the woman who helped you become who you are today. Emeka tried to shush her again, his eyes darting towards the door. But Bisola wasn't done. She stepped closer, her face inches from his. Her voice dropped low and cold. You know me, Emeka. You know me. If I can't have you, nobody will. I don't care what I have to do, but I swear, that woman and that thing growing inside her will regret ever crossing my path. You hear me? She jabbed her fingers against his chest. The game is over. And with that, she turned to storm out of the kitchen, her heels clicking furiously against the tiles. The moment she opened the door, her words froze in the air. Standing there, wide-eyed and pale, was Moyo. Her hand clutched the door frame for support. She had heard everything. The silence that followed was heavy, enough to choke on. Bisola's expression did not change, not a blink, not a flinch. With a calmness that made the moment even more terrifying, she straightened her shoulders and pushed past Moyo like she was air. As the front door slammed behind her, Moyo's trembling hand went to her belly. Her heart raced wildly and tears welled in her eyes. The silence that followed Bisola's exit was thunderous. She stood there staring at Emeka as if seeing him for the first time. The air felt very heavy. It was suffocating. Her lips trembled as she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. Emeka, what did she mean by the plan? Emeka's throat tightened. He tried to speak, but the words refused to come out. Moyo, it's not what you think, he began weakly. Not what I think, Moyo snapped. I heard everything. Emeka, I heard every single word. You and that woman. You planned to use me. You planned to rob me. Moyo, please, it wasn't like that. Oh, shut up, she screamed. You liar. You pretended to love me. You used my feelings, my money, my heart. How could you? Emeka dropped to his knees, tears brimming in his eyes. I swear I didn't mean for any of this thing to happen. Yes, it started as a plan, Bisola's plan, but I fell in love with you. Moyo, I love you, I really do. Moyo let out a sharp laugh that was more pain than humor. Love? She repeated bitterly. You call this love? You and your so-called cousin cooked up a plan to destroy me, and you have the guts to talk about love. How wicked can you be? Emeka crawled closer, holding her legs, but she kicked his hands away. Don't touch me. I can't even stand the sight of you. Moyo, please, think of the baby, he begged. The baby? What baby? She shot back. You think I'll raise this child with a man I can't trust? A man like you? I gave you everything, Emeka. Everything. And this is how you betray me. She turned and pointed towards the staircase. Pack your things and leave my house right now. Emeka froze, still kneeling. Moyo, please. I said leave, she screamed, her voice shaking with anger. There was nothing left to say. Emeka slowly stood up, his eyes wet, his face pale. He gathered a few of his belongings into a small bag. Every step felt heavier than the last. When he turned to look at her one last time, she had already turned away, her face buried in her palms. Without another word, he walked out of the house. That morning, Emeka checked into a small hotel on the outskirts of town. The room smelled of air freshener and sadness. He sat on the edge of the bed, his mind spinning in 1,000 directions. How did it all come to this? He buried his face in his hands. I should never have listened to Bisola, he muttered under his breath. She dragged me into this madness. What was I thinking? But deep down he knew the truth. No one had forced him. He had agreed. He had played along, and now the price was too high. He could not eat. He could not sleep. He just sat there, replaying every moment from the day he met Moyo, to the first time she smiled at him, to the day she called him her husband. He had everything: love, money, a home, and this was how it all disappears. He thought about calling Bisola, but he couldn't bring himself to do that. The thought of hearing her voice made his blood boil. He blamed her for his misfortune, for filling his head with greed, for making him lose the beautiful life he had just started to enjoy. He sat and said to himself, if I want my life back, I need to fix this. I need to do something before it's too late. But what could he possibly do now? The next morning came. Bright sunlight streamed through the hotel curtains. Emeka was half asleep when his phone began to ring. He groaned, turning on the bed. Who is calling this early? He mumbled, picking up the phone. The number was unfamiliar, and so he ignored it. The phone rang again and again. Finally, with a sigh, he picked up the phone. A shaky voice came from the other end. Is this Mr. Emeka? Yes, who is this? There was a pause. Then the words that followed made his blood run cold. Moyo had been found dead in their home very early that morning. The road to Moyo's house felt longer than it had ever been. Emeka's heart was pounding so loudly that it drowned out the hum of his car engine. By the time he reached their street, He was shaking all over. Blue and red lights flashed against the dark morning sky. Police vans were parked in front of the house, and a small crowd of neighbors had gathered outside, whispering among themselves. Emeka could barely breathe. He stumbled out of his car, ignoring the murmurs that followed him. "Hey, that's her husband," someone whispered. Emeka did not stop or even spare him a glance. He pushed through the crowd, his heart racing as he forced his way into the compound. The front door was wide open, and inside the living room was crawling with policemen. The air smelled faintly of blood and disinfectant. And then he saw her, Moyo. She lay on the floor in the middle of the room, motionless. There was blood pooled around her head. Her nightgown was stained. Beside her was a toppled side stool, one of its corners glistening with blood. It looked like she had either fallen and hit her head, or someone had struck her from behind. For a split second, the world around him stopped. "No," Emeka whispered. "No," he screamed. "Moyo!" He tried to run toward her, but two officers grabbed him firmly by the arms. "Sir, please step back," one said, struggling to hold him in place. "Let me go! That's my wife! Please, let me go!" Emeka shouted, his voice cracking. But when he caught a proper look at her face, her soft features frozen, her eyes closed as if in sleep, his strength left him. His knees buckled and he fell to the ground. "Moyo, please wake up. Moyo, please wake up." His voice broke into helpless sobs. The lead detective, a tall man with a calm but stern face, approached quietly. "Mr. Emeka," he said gently, "I understand this is painful, but we need you to calm down." Emeka looked up at him with red, tear-filled eyes. "What happened to her? Who did this?" The detective sighed. "We are still trying to determine that. There were no signs of forced entry, no broken locks, so the option of robbery is entirely ruled out. But there's something else." Emeka frowned, confused. "What do you mean?" The detective pointed towards another part of the living room. Emeka followed his gaze and froze. On the floor lay another body. It was a security man sprawled on his back, eyes wide open, lifeless, his face badly beaten up. His uniform was smeared with blood. Emeka's breath caught in his throat. "Oh my God! What happened to him?" "We are still investigating," the detective replied. "But from the look of things, he might have tried to intervene, or he saw something he shouldn't have." Emeka shook his head. "No, this can't be happening." The detective folded his arms. "Sir, the neighbors reported that there was a heated argument in this house yesterday morning between you and your wife." Emeka's heart clenched. Yes, we argued, but I did not touch her. I swear I did not." The detective's expression did not change. "When was the last time you saw her alive?" Emeka swallowed hard, his voice trembling. "Yesterday morning, when she asked me to leave the house. She was angry, but she was fine. She was alive." The detective wrote something in his notepad and then looked up again. "Still, we need you to come with us to the station to give a full statement." Emeka stared blankly at the blood-stained floor, his whole world collapsing. The officers led him outside, and the crowd broke into a low murmur. "Did you hear? They found the security man dead too." "Ha!" another said. "Maybe it's robbery gone wrong." "No, they said no sign of robbery. Maybe a domestic matter." Eh? And he just married her. He has killed her. Each word pierced Emeka like a knife. Everyone had an opinion. His body moved, but his mind was trapped inside that house, beside Moyo's lifeless body, beside the guilt that was already clawing its way up his chest. The police station, when they reached there, smelled faintly of old papers, sweat, and cigarette smoke. The walls were painted a dull cream, the kind that made the place feel colder than it already was. Emeka sat on a wooden chair in the interrogation room. His hands were trembling. His eyes were swollen from crying. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Moyo lying in that pool of blood, her lifeless eyes haunting him. Across the table sat the two detectives. The lead detective from earlier, Inspector Benro, sat with a calm, calculating expression. Beside him was a younger officer who took notes as Emeka spoke. "Mr. Emeka," Inspector Benro began, his voice low. "We've gone through your statement. You said you left the house yesterday morning after an argument with your wife." Emeka nodded. "Where did you go after that?" "I went to a hotel, Golden Crest Hotel in Yaba. I just needed to clear my head." The inspector nodded slowly. "And you stayed there all night?" "Yes, sir. You can check the cameras. I checked in around 10:30 a.m. and did not leave till morning." Inspector Benro tapped his pen against his desk. "We will confirm that. But first, tell me something, Mr. Emeka. You and your wife, how would you describe your marriage?" Emeka looked down at his fingers and shook his head. It started out fine. We were happy. She loved me very much, but I messed everything up." "How so?" the inspector asked. Emeka took a deep breath. "Sir, I did not kill Moyo. I swear on my life. I did not touch her, but I know who might have done it." The two officers exchanged a quick glance. "And who would that be?" "Bisola," Emeka said. "Bisola," the inspector repeated. "Who is Bisola?" "Meanwhile, first of all, why were you arguing with your wife? What was the cause of your argument?" Emeka swallowed hard. Bisola was the cause of our argument. "She's my girlfriend, or she was my girlfriend before Moyo. In fact, she's still my girlfriend. It's complicated. We've been together for years, long before I met Moyo. We did not have much. We were young, fresh graduates in love. We were just struggling to survive. And then Moyo came along. She was my boss. She started showing interest in me. I did not want anything to do with it at first. I told Bisola, and she was angry. But later she came up with a plan. She said I should pretend to love Moyo, marry her, gain her trust, and then we would take her money and run away together." The young officer looked up from his notes with wide eyes. "You mean to say your relationship with your wife is a scam?" Emeka's voice cracked. "Yes. It was stupid, I know, but I swear, I did not mean for it to go this far. I fell in love with Moyo along the way. I really did, and I was going to tell her the whole truth." "And what about Bisola? What was her reaction when she found out you had fallen for your wife?" Inspector Benro interrupted. Emeka sighed deeply, running a shaky hand over his face. "Bisola found out that Moyo was pregnant. She was furious. Yesterday, Sunday morning, she came to the house and confronted me. She said I betrayed her and she would destroy everything. I begged her to calm down, but she wouldn't listen. She said if she couldn't have me, then nobody would. And then she said something else. What did she say? The inspector asked. She said she wanted Moyo and the baby out of my life, or else Moyo would regret crossing her path. The room went silent for a moment. Even the ceiling fan seemed to pause. Inspector Benro studied Emeka closely. So, you are saying this woman, Bisola, threatened your wife less than 24 hours before she was found dead? Yes, Emeka said. Yes, sir. She walked out of the house right after the fight, and Moyo heard everything. She was standing by the door. That's when she told me to leave. I swear that was the last time I saw her alive. The inspector sat back slowly, nodding to himself. Do you have Bisola's address? Of course he did, and he was glad to share. Just as the detective was about to leave, Emeka looked up at him again. Please, Inspector, I did not kill my wife. I made mistakes, yes, but I didn't do this. Please believe me. Inspector Benro stared at him for a long moment, then said quietly, whether I believe you or not doesn't matter right now, Mr. Emeka. What matters is finding out who did. He turned to the younger officer. Get a team ready. We are going to pick Bisola up. As the detectives walked out, Emeka was left alone in the cold, dim room. He buried his face in his hands, his tears falling freely. Bisola's day started like any other day. The only difference is, it was Monday morning and she woke up unusually late. She did not feel well. Neither did she feel in the mood to go to work and face some group of 6-year-olds. Her phone buzzed. She couldn't even pick up her call. She made a cup of tea and sipped quietly as she stared into space. Her body was restless. Her mind was restless. Everything in her was restless. Her entire existence was restless. She sat down all day long. For some reason, she could not even eat breakfast. She had no appetite. By noon, there was a loud knock on her door. Bang, bang, bang. The sound startled her so much that she almost dropped her teacup. Her mind began to race. Who is that? She called out nervously. Police! A voice boomed from the other side. Open the door! Bisola froze. Police! Her heart began to race. She quickly adjusted her clothes and opened the door, just enough to peep through. 2 uniformed officers stood there with another plain-clothed man who looked serious. Too serious. Yes, can I help you? She asked, forcing a smile. Miss Bisola Adeyemi, the man asked. Yes. You are needed at the station for questioning, he said firmly. It concerns the murder of Mrs. Moyo Adewale and her security officer. The smile vanished from her face instantly. Murder, she gasped. Ha! Officer, what are you saying? Which murder? You have the chance to explain everything at the station, one of them said, already stepping into her apartment. Wait. This must be a mistake, Bisola stammered. I don't know anything about any murder. I was at home all day yesterday and today. But her protests, did it stop them? No. Within minutes, she was in handcuffs, being led out of her apartment as her neighbors gathered, whispering and peeking through their curtains. Amebo, as usual. Ah, Bisola, one woman whispered to another. What has she done? Such a quiet girl, they whispered among themselves. Bisola was bundled into the police van and taken straight to the police station. At the station, she was ushered into the same cold interrogation room where Emeka had sat a few hours before. Inspector Gbero entered with the same notepad in his hand. He sat down across from her, eyes sharp and unreadable. Miss Bisola, where were you yesterday? I already told your men. Bisola cried, her voice shaking. I was at home. I did not go anywhere. Are you sure about that? The inspector asked calmly. We have a witness who confirmed that you were at the Adewale's residence around 7 a.m. yesterday morning. That's a lie, she shouted, slamming her palms on the table. Who said that? Who? The inspector did not answer. He simply flipped through his nose and said, We have a statement from Mr. Emeka, your cousin. Bisola's throat went dry. He's lying, she said quickly. Whatever he told you, it is a lie. That man is a liar. The inspector leaned back in his chair. He said you were in love with him and that you planned to use Moyo for her money, and that when he backed out, you got angry and threatened to destroy him. He said you promised that if you couldn't have him, then nobody would. He also mentioned you wanting Moyo and the baby out of his life. Bisola's lips trembled. Her heart was pounding so fast it felt like it would burst. He told you that? Yes, the inspector said. So, Miss Bola, were you at Moyo's house yesterday or not? She stammered. Yes, I was there. Finally, Inspector said. Oh yeah, go on. Tell us what happened when you went there. I went there, yes, Bisola said. But I went to talk to Emeka. I wanted to understand what was going on. I was angry that morning. I said a lot of things I did not mean and I left. People do that all the time. Later that evening, I went there again, this time to apologize. But when I got there, the gate was open. I did not see the security man. I called out for Emeka, but no one answered. I thought Moyo was upstairs, so I entered. The house was quiet. It was too quiet. Then I saw her. She was on the floor in blood. I screamed. I didn't even know what to do. I ran out of the house. I swear I did not touch her. I did not kill her. I will never do that to someone. You have to believe me. Inspector Gbero watched her silently for a few minutes. And the security man, did you see him? No. Bisola shook her head. I did not even know he was dead. Oh God, what is happening to me? The inspector leaned forward. Miss Bisola, you said you found the gate open and the house quiet. Did you tell anyone what you saw? No, she cried. I was scared. I just ran home and locked myself in. I swear that's the truth. The room went silent again. The only sound was Bisola's ragged breathing and the soft hum of the ceiling fan. Inspector Gbero closed his book. You understand, Miss Bisola, that until we confirm your story, you remain our prime suspect. Therefore, we will have to keep you in custody. Bisola's eyes widened. No, please, you cannot do this to me. I did not kill her. I swear I didn't. I'm sure that lying Emeka did it. I'm sure he did it and called you and made it look like it was me. Inspector shook his head. Emeka did not call us. We got a call from the cleaner this morning. She came in to clean and found the scene. She called us. I did not kill her. I promise you I did not, Bisola begged. But her pleas did not move them. Two officers came in and led her away.
Inspector Benro was almost moved to believe her regardless. She sounded scared, but not entirely guilty. Still, you would never trust someone with murder. Someone had killed Moyo and the security man, and until that truth came out, Bisola would have to sit in a cell and wait. By the next morning, the police station was already buzzing with whispers. Officers moved briskly through the corridors, files tucked under their arms. Everywhere was thick. Everybody was serious. The murder of Moyo Adewale and her security man had quickly become one of the most talked about cases in Lagos. And to make matters worse, Chief Adewale was coming down heavy on them. He wanted justice for his daughter, and he wanted that justice very fast. Detective Benro sat behind his desk that morning, his sleeves rolled up, a half-drunk cup of coffee beside him. When the coroner's report finally arrived, he opened the envelope immediately with the wariness of a man who had seen too many deaths, but still something about this one bothered him. He flipped through the papers, eager to see what he would find out. And then, there it was. Mrs. Moyo Adewale. Cause of death: blunt force trauma to the back of the head, internal hemorrhage consistent with severe blunt impact. Estimated time of death: 3:30 p.m. and 5 p.m. Victim 2, the security officer, male. Cause of death: multiple facial contusions, missing incisor tooth, upper right. Evidence of impact around the jawline and the neck area. Cause of death: strangulation. No visible fingerprints detected. Neck area appeared to have been wiped clean. Based on pressure marks, hand size consistent with an adult male. Benro dropped the file on his desk and leaned back in his chair. A man, he muttered under his breath. Definitely a man. He looked up at his assistant, Sergeant Fatai, who was waiting anxiously across the room. The security man was strangled, Benro said, tapping the file. Whoever did it wiped the neck clean, definitely to remove prints. Moyo was hit from behind. The same man or two people working together. Fatai frowned. Sir, but we already have Miss Bisola in custody, and according to Emeka, she was the one with the motive. Benro cut him off sharply. No. I've seen many women kill Fatai, but I've also seen how men use women as shields. This case is starting to smell like that. He stood and began pacing slowly. Think about it. The security man was beaten hard. That's not a woman's strength. His tooth was knocked out. Then he was strangled, and whoever did it cleaned the body. That's not panic. That's calculation. Someone knew exactly what they were doing. Fatai nodded slowly. So you think Mr. Emeka might have had a hand in it? Benro stopped pacing and looked out of the small window. I think Mr. Emeka knows more than he's saying. He's hiding behind fear or guilt. And Bisola, she's not innocent either. She lied about being there. But then fear can make an innocent person lie. So what do we do next, sir? Fatai asked. Benro closed the autopsy file and exhaled deeply. Keep Bisola in custody until we figure out her connection. As for Mr. Emeka, we bring him back in. I want to look him in the eye when I tell him what the autopsy found. Maybe then his story will finally make sense. Fatai nodded and hurried out to make the call. Left alone in the room, detective rubbed his temples. He had seen crimes of passion before. Jealousy, betrayal, greed. But this one felt layered. 2 people dead. 1 woman swearing innocence. 1 man claiming he didn't touch her, yet pointing fingers. And the worst part, what was the security man doing inside the house at that time. He looked again at the photo of Moyo on his desk, smiling bright-eyed. Then he flipped to the next, her body, lifeless, the back of her head smeared with blood. This was a tough one, but he had seen worse. Emeka was brought back to the interrogation room. As usual, the room was cold and quiet, the kind of silence that made every breath sound loud. Emeka sat across from Detective Benro, his eyes swollen from crying, his shirt rumpled. He looked like a man who had lost everything. Of course he had lost everything. Detective Benro dropped the coroner's file on the table and folded his arms. Mr. Emeka, the autopsy report is out. Your wife died from a blow to the back of her head. She bled to death, and your security guard was strangled. Emeka raised his head slowly. Strangled? He repeated, barely believing what he was hearing. Yes, Benro continued. The security man was beaten first, hard enough to knock out a tooth, then strangled. The person who did it even wiped the neck clean to remove fingerprints. Emeka's eyes widened in horror and he shook his head violently. This is unbelievable. People are wicked. Who would do such a thing? And why? That is exactly what we are trying to find out. If he did not, and Bisola too claims she did not, then who did? The detective asked, gaze fixed on him. I don't know, Emeka cried, his voice breaking. I left the house after the argument. Yes, I went to a hotel. I can show you the receipt. I can prove it. Please believe me. Detective Benro leaned forward. You expect me to believe that you left your pregnant wife after a fight, went to a hotel, and somehow, between that time, she ended up dead, and you knew nothing about it? Tears streamed down Emeka's face. I loved her, he shouted. Why would I hurt her? She was carrying my child. He buried his face in his palms, sobbing quietly. The room fell silent for a few moments. Even the other officers exchanged uneasy glances. After a while, Emeka raised his head again, wiping his eyes. Please, there are CCTV cameras in the house, he said. If you check them, you will see that I wasn't even there when it happened. Detective Benro paused. CCTV? Yes, Emeka nodded eagerly. Moyo had them installed after we had a break-in last year. They covered the main living room, the hallway, and the entrance. Check them and you will see the truth. Benro leaned back, intrigued, wondering why he had not even thought about the cameras before now. An hour later, he and Sergeant Fatai were at the Adewale's residence. The house was eerily silent, still bearing the traces of what had happened. The police tape, overturned furniture, and dark stains on the floor where blood had been cleaned. They found the security system as expected, and Fatai connected the system to his laptop while Benro watched closely. The footage began to play, showing scenes from the day before. But something was wrong. The screen flickered, froze, and jumped several hours ahead. Wait, Fatai said. This can't be right. What's wrong? Benro asked. There is a time gap, Fatai said. Look, from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., the camera went blank. No video, no audio. Then it comes back on like nothing happened. Benro frowned. And what's the timestamp of the murders again? Between 3:30 p.m. and 5 p.m., Fatai said. The two men exchanged a long look. Whoever did this, Benro said slowly, knew exactly what they were doing. They wiped the footage clean. Sir, Fatai added quietly, Emeka was the one who told us about the CCTV. He knew it was there. Why would he suggest we check it unless he knew it was clean? Benro finished the sentence. To make us think he had nothing to hide. Sir, Fatai put in. There's something else we haven't figured out yet. The link between the security man and Mrs. Moyo. They were both killed. Why him too? Benro's eyes narrowed. That's the puzzle. Was he just in the wrong place at the wrong time, or did he know something he wasn't supposed to? The detective glanced once more at the blood-stained stool lying in the corner, then turned towards the door. Dig into the security man's background, he said. I want to know everything. His full name, family, where he worked before here. Maybe the answer to all this didn't start yesterday. Back in his office, Detective Benro's mind was racing. Something didn't add up. Not yet, but he knew he was getting close. And if Emeka thought he could outsmart the police, he was about to learn otherwise. That night, Detective Benro tossed and turned all night long. Sleep simply refused to come. How would it come? His mind played and replayed the entire investigation like a film stuck on loop. Something did not sit right. He sat up in bed, rubbing his temples. Something is missing, he thought. Something very important is missing. He stared into the darkness for a long time, and then, like a spark, it hit him. The gate! He whispered out loud, eyes wide. A house that big and expensive must have a CCTV at the gate if it has one inside. He smiled for the first time in days. The thought made his chest tighten with excitement, like he had just uncovered a hidden key. He leaned back on his pillow and finally closed his eyes, confident that by morning he would have his answers on a platter of gold. By dawn, he was already at the station, waiting for Sergeant Fatai. The moment Fatai walked in, Benro clapped his hands together. We are going back to Moyo's house. Fatai blinked. Again, sir. We already went through The gate! Benro interrupted sharply. We did not check the cameras at the gate. Fatai's eyes lit up. Oh my God. That's true. Without wasting another second, they drove straight to Moyo's residence. The house stood still under the morning sun. The lot was large and quiet and beautiful as it always was from the outside. They made their way to the front gate and, as expected, found two small cameras fixed at opposite corners, perfectly positioned to capture anyone going in or out. The memory cards were still intact. Bingo, Fatai said, smiling as he removed the chips. Back at the station, they plugged the footage into the computer, took it back straight to the day of the murder. They saw Bisola go in and out of the house early that morning. And then there was Emeka around 8:25 a.m. walking briskly towards his car with a small bag, and then entered the car to drive out. The security man, wearing his blue uniform, opened the gate for him, and Emeka said something brief, then drove off. Okay, Fatai muttered, fast-forwarding the footage. He's gone, now let's see. 6 hours later, around 2:30 p.m., Emeka's car appeared again. But this time, the security man wasn't at the gate. Emeka parked, looked round, and then instead of honking or calling out, he pushed the gate open himself, walked toward the front door, and paused for 12 whole minutes, as if thinking about something or listening to someone. And then he suddenly rushed inside. And then, some 36 minutes later, Emeka emerged. Only now, he was wearing a different shirt and trousers. He looked agitated, almost frantic. He glanced around as he hurried out of the compound on foot. Both men stared at the screen in silence. He changed his clothes, Benru said finally. Why would an innocent man do that? Fatai did not reply. He did not need to. But the footage wasn't over yet. 2 hours later, another familiar figure appeared. Bisola. She looked nervous, checking around before rushing into the compound. Barely a minute later, she ran out again, panic written all over her face. Fatai froze the video. Sir, what do we do now? Detective Benru exhaled deeply, closing the laptop. We do the obvious. Show him the tape. He has a lot of explaining to do. But sir, what about Bisola? Fatai asked again. Release her, was all Detective Benru said. He knew for sure that Bisola was not their murderer. Emeka was. The interrogation room was calm as usual. A single bulb hung from the ceiling. Emeka sat across Detective Benru and Sergeant Fatai, his hands trembling as he rubbed them together. Detective Benru slid a laptop across the metal table. Mr. Emeka, we have been patient with you, but it's time to stop the lies and tell us the truth. What happened to your wife? Emeka looked up, eyes red from crying. I'm not lying, sir. I swear. I did not. Then maybe you can explain this. Benroke clicked play. On the screen, Emeka's car pulled up at the gate. Then the footage showed him entering the compound, bursting into the house, and coming out later in different clothes. Emeka froze. His lips trembled. Is that you or your ghost? Benro asked softly. For a long moment, Emeka said nothing. Then suddenly, he covered his face with both hands and began to sob. His shoulders shook violently as he cried. Talk to us, Emeka, Fatai urged. Tell us what happened. Emeka looked up slowly, tears dripping down his cheeks. It wasn't supposed to happen like that, he whispered. I swear to God, I did not plan to kill her. It was not intentional. Then tell us the truth. Everything. Emeka took a shaky breath. I left the hotel that afternoon, he began. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't think straight. I just wanted to go back home and beg Moyo. I wanted her to forgive me. I did not care if she insulted me or chased me away. I just wanted her to listen to me. So I left the hotel, but I did not check out. When I got to the house, the gate was wide open. I found it strange because the security man, Tunde, never left it open. He never does. I waited a bit, called out his name, but he did not answer, so I went inside. As I got to the front door, I heard voices. I stopped and listened. It was Tunde and Moyo. He was shouting at her, saying things that made my blood boil. He was blackmailing her. He wanted 3 million naira, else he would tell me that he was the father of the baby in my wife's womb. Apparently, I am not the father of the baby Moyo was carrying. Moyo was angry too. She said he should go and shout it from the rooftops that she did not care. They were both yelling, and before I knew what I was doing, I pushed the door open and entered. I don't know what came over me, sir. I just lost it. I grabbed Tunde by the neck and started hitting him. I don't even remember what I was saying. I was so mad. I was mad with rage and pain. I loved her. He paused, covering his face again. Moyo tried to pull me back.
She was screaming for me to stop, but I was blinded by anger. I shoved her away with my hand. I did not even know she had fallen until later. I kept hitting him. He fought back, but I overpowered him. I punched him, kicked him, pressed his neck until he stopped moving. I did not realize I had killed him. And when I turned, his voice cracked completely. She was on the floor. There was blood everywhere. Her head had hit the stool. I dropped beside her, tried to wake her up, but she did not move. Her eyes were opened, staring at nothing. I panicked. I did not know what to do. I ran upstairs. I changed my clothes because mine had blood on them. I cleared the CCTV cameras and wiped Babatunde's neck and left. He looked up at Benro like a broken child. I did not mean to kill her, sir. I swear on my life. I swear on my mother's grave. I loved that woman. I was even excited about the baby. I didn't know. I didn't. I'm so sorry. He broke down completely, his words dissolving into sobs. Detective Benro watched him quietly, arms crossed, his expression unreadable. When Emeka finally stopped crying, Benro spoke in a calm, almost pitying tone. You see, Mr. Emeka, love can make a man gentle, but it can also make him dangerous. You say you did not mean to kill her, but your hands did. You took 3 lives that day, wiped evidence, and then intentionally accused another. That is unpardonable, and you will pay for it. Emeka looked up helplessly. Please, sir, have mercy. It was a mistake. Benro stood, pushing his chair back. You can tell that to the judge. As the officers led Emeka out of the room in handcuffs, his cries echoed down the hallway. Within days, the case became national news. The man who killed his pregnant wife and her lover. Everyone had an opinion. Some say it was crime of passion. Others called it cold-blooded, calculated murder. Some others said he killed her so that he could take all that belonged to her. After weeks of court proceedings, testimonies, and endless media frenzy, the judge delivered his verdict. Emeka Obi, for the murder of your wife, Muyo Obi, and the security officer, Charles Eze, and the unborn baby in Muyo Obi's womb. This court finds you guilty as charged. You are hereby sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Emeka stood motionless, the courtroom feeling distant, unreal. He did not even flinch as the handcuffs clicked shut. All he could think of is Moyo's face. The whole incident played and replayed in his head. He couldn't believe what was happening to him. Everything felt like a dream, like a very bad dream. A dream he wanted to wake up from. His life was gone, and with it, his freedom. He regretted his decisions, regretted ever listening to Bisola, regretted even ever meeting her. But again, it's too late to cry over spilled milk. Meanwhile, Bisola is released after 2 harrowing weeks of detention. Her once perfect world has crumbled. She had lost her lover, her job, and her peace of mind. She walked out of the police station into the blinding sunlight, her heart heavy with guilt. Though she had no hand in Moyo's death directly, she knew the part she played in the tragedy that followed. She had lured Emeka into this. Now he was paying for it, and she was out here, free to live with the guilt and torment forever. Hey lovers, thank you for listening to this story. If you are new here, welcome to our community. I hope you enjoyed listening to this story as much as I enjoyed creating it. If you have not done so already, please hit the subscribe button, and to support the growth of our community, give this video a big thumbs up. If you know someone who would enjoy a story like this, do not hesitate to share. Don't forget, leave a comment down below, like, share, and subscribe. I'll take my leave now, but I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.